Hello, I'm Josephine, and today we are going to be talking about how to grow closer to God. So keep watching if you want to hear some tips if you're feeling distant. This is real life. Real life. We serve a God who is ever present. That means that He is present always, at all times. He's present right now. As you watch this, He is right there with you, as close to your skin. But you know, just like I know, that sometimes it feels distant in our hearts. And we are like, I want to go closer to God because I don't feel close to Him in my heart. An example is, you know how you can be with a friend and they feel as far away as in another country or in another world. We say this sometimes. We're like, girl, you're like in another world. Yet they're sitting right next to you. That's the same with God. He can feel so far away, or we can feel so far away from Him, and yet He's in the room. So when we talk about growing closer to God, we're not talking about growing closer physically because it's impossible. He's right there. But we're talking about growing closer to Him relationally. One of the biggest ways to grow closer to God is to believe that you can. So we, in Christendom, in the Christian faith, we say things like, grow nearer to the Lord. He is our friend. We can know Him like we can know our friend. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that you can know God as much as you can know your best friend? And we sing songs like, I am a friend of God. What a friend we have in Jesus. He calls me friend. But do we believe truly that we can have that kind of relationship with God? We can. And we need to first ask God to help us to believe that this is true, or else it's not going to happen. How do you grow closer to a person? It's to know them. It's to get to know them more and more. And the more you get to know them, the closer relationally you are to them. And it's so with God. To grow closer to God is to know God. So how do we know God more? Is the question. One way is a biggie. You knew it was coming, girl. You knew it was coming. It is to read the Bible. Come on. Of course, right? So, in order to know someone, you have to hear from them. You've got to listen. And the main way that God speaks to us is through His written word. You guys, this is His written word. A lot of us are running around trying to figure out what God is saying to us, and we've got His word. John Piper said, if you want to hear God speak out loud to you, open up His word and read it out loud. This is His written word, and if we want to get to know Him, we need to know what He sounds like and hear from Him, and it's in His word. There's this phrase called spiritual receptivity. I know it's a fancy word, but that word is from one of my favorite authors, A.W. Tozer. It's responding to the Holy Spirit's promptings. So, if someone calls you and you want to get to know them, are you going to ignore them, or are you going to pick up the phone? So, A.W. Tozer says, When the Holy Spirit nudges you, the people who know God or is close to the Lord will respond to Him. When the Holy Spirit nudges you to read the Bible, you will read the Bible. When the Holy Spirit nudges you to close the laptop and pray, you will close the laptop and pray. When you feel like you're needing to get off of Instagram, to call that person and encourage that person, you call that person and encourage that person. You are responding and participating and communing with God through what the Spirit is leading you and telling you to do. So spiritual receptivity, responding to the Holy Spirit. That is what we do with our friends. We respond to our friends. We don't say, I just don't feel close to my mom, but when my mom calls me, I ignore every single phone call. I do what she dislikes. I just don't feel close to her though. So one way is to respond to the Holy Spirit. A book by, you can tell I like to read books. A book by a man named Brother Lawrence. It's a good book. I would suggest you to read it. And it's just that, practicing the presence of God. Again, God is always present. So we should be aware of that and talking to Him, praying without ceasing. That doesn't mean that every minute of every day we should be praying, but that means that we should constantly be bringing into our awareness that God is here. I woke up this morning. What do? Lord, thank you for waking me up. I'm going to go eat breakfast. Bring into awareness, God's here. Thank you for the food. I am with a friend. Lord, give me wisdom to know how to speak. So just practicing His presence, practicing the fact that He is here and praying to Him. It doesn't mean trying to feel Him. It doesn't mean trying to have an experience, feel goosebumps, have warm, fuzzy feelings. It means practicing the fact that He is here. Practice the presence of God. This is one of the things that help me. It is praying honestly. Sometimes we think, I gotta pray to God real spiritual like, real fancy like. I gotta say thee and thou and all this. Nope, you don't. You don't speak like that on a normal basis. Yes, we go to God and we go to God with reverence. We don't go to God like, we don't reverence someone like we do God, obviously. So we do worship Him. We go to God in awe. But we don't have to speak to God in a thee and thou in a whole different language that we don't speak, that we don't even normally speak to. He understands our normal language. So pray to God like you normally speak, and also tell Him how you feel. Don't go to God trying to hide how you feel, trying to act like you are okay when you are not okay. Say to God, I don't feel you. I want to go closer to you. Lord, I want to know you more. Lord, show me your face. Lord, I want to see you. Reveal yourself to me. Pray to Him. And He hears our prayers, and He says to bring our petitions to Him. So pray. So I was talking a little bit about not trying to feel Him. Don't look at your feelings. When we try to go closer to God, sometimes there's a temptation to look at our emotions and measure how close we are to God by how we feel, by our emotions. And we shouldn't do that, because it can really discourage us, and we aren't trying to grow closer to our emotions. We're trying to grow closer to God, and our eyes should be set to the person or to the object that we are trying to grow closer to. There is this little story that I like where it says, if you want to grow closer to warmth, like if you're cold and you want to get warm, you don't go to the thermometer and try to grow closer to the thermometer. You don't try to get warm by looking at the thermometer. You go to the fire, right? And so sometimes we're looking at the measure, like, okay, I don't feel close, and now we're trying to fix this. No, you go to the fire. So we go to God. So maybe that is a picture that helps. Now, I was sitting in a sermon one time, and this little quote stuck out to me, and I think this will be with me for the rest of my life. And it says, your heart may be cold towards God, but his heart is never cold towards you. So know that your heart, you might be like wanting to be close to God and you just don't feel it. No, God feels it towards you. Remove distractions. Remove distractions. If you want to grow closer to God, you want to, we say this with people that we can touch, feel, and see. Put your phone down. Turn off the TV. Remove the things that will distract you from hearing him and from spending time with him. You know those things, so I'm not going to lay them out. But that those things for you might be different from me or might be different from someone else. But if you want to grow closer to God, then remove distractions and ask the Lord what distracts you from him. And he will reveal it. And when he does reveal it, spiritual receptivity, spiritual listening to his promptings, obey. Worship. You knew that was going to be in here. Worship. The thing with worship is that we so often approach worship as a I-centered, me-centered thing. I'm going to worship to get myself feeling better. And worship is to be about God, reverencing him, worshiping him for who he is and what he has done, who he will always be. It's not supposed to just be about experiences. The focus should not be on us. It should be on him. So worship God. Clyde Cranford, someone that wrote a book that I really liked, said that worship is nothing but a preoccupation of your mind with God. He also said of the heart too. So worship is nothing but a preoccupation of the mind and heart with God. It's the mind and heart solely focused on God. And we can do that with songs, with reading the Bible, with praying, things like that. And be patient. This is a journey. Growing closer to God is going to keep happening until we meet him in glory. So be patient. I know it's hard. But be patient and know that we're on a road that we're walking on. The more we walk in life, the closer we will grow in our relationship with him. Remember that. Stand on that truth. To grow closer to God is to be intimate with God. Intimacy is sharing secrets with God. A quote that I really like by Clyde Cranford is from the same book that I mentioned before. It says, intimacy speaks of personal fellowship, of secrets shared. So I just want you to know that fellowship with God is about being close and sharing secrets with Him. It's close. It should be closer than any relationship you have, even closer than your husband. But again, it doesn't happen in an instant. It is growing nearer and nearer and nearer and still nearer. Oh, closer and closer and closer. So this video was how to grow closer to God. I hope that it was helpful. Like if it was helpful. Comment what stood out to you. Share it. Subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you can be notified when my next video goes up. And my next video is going to be my top Christian book recommendations. So I have mentioned a couple books in this video, but I want to share with you some good Christian book recommendations with solid Christian theology. So yeah, subscribe and click that bell so that you can be notified for when that goes up. Until then, bye!